Alright, hello everyone, hope you're all well, hope you're all staying safe. I know it's been probably a minute, like a big fat minute since I've made a video. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in just a second. But in today's video, I'm going to be doing another episode of This Week in No Man's Sky, just because so much has happened in the time that I've been gone that I feel like this is the only video really that can cover all of it in one. Anyway, so if you're unaware of what this series is, it was essentially a means of talking about the events of No Man's Sky in the past week and involving the No Man's Sky community as well, so news, updates, community made content, whatever, but in a more informal and relaxed way that doesn't rely on scripts and jump cuts and things like that. A lot has happened, as I said. We now have a new update, like a genuine new update for No Man's Sky called the Desolation Update, and this is what I want to talk about for the majority of this video. Obviously, I want to go through the main additions of it, that being derelict freighters. A lot of people are fucking loving them, myself included, and I've definitely been playing around with it, having a look to see what it offers, and so I want to give my 2 cents on it. So before we get into it, I just want to explain the absence and the lack of uploads. So essentially, now that the world has calmed down and, you know, the world is feeling a little bit normal, I'm back at work. So I don't have quite as much time to record as I did before, but that wasn't even the main reason for me not recording. My Shadowplay, which I've used for about 3 years, just broke. Doesn't record anything whatsoever. It will create a black screen or it just won't make a video file. It's a pain in the ass, and I spent ages trying to fix it and got fuck all. So I bought an actual game capture, which should technically allow for better visuals and audio and things like that. So yeah, that's why I was gone for so long. Nothing interesting, to be honest. Anyway, I'm back making content, and hopefully some videos should be put out this week. Obviously it depends on work and shit, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling because all you want to hear about is No Man's Sky, so let's fucking get into it. Alright, so the Desolation Update we kind of knew was coming. For a long time now we've been speculating about a variation update, you know, a combat overhaul update, mostly because of some leaks, some, you know, tweets from Sean, things like that. It's typical No Man's Sky community behaviour to take everything and break it down, and we definitely thought that something combat related was coming, and yes, something did come, and I think it's caught a lot of people off guard. And this is what I love about the Desolation Update to begin with, is the fact that, yeah, okay, we had an idea that we might be getting combat or variation, and we did kind of get combat, but it's something which we didn't exactly expect, and the quality of it is, yeah, it's very good. It's really fucking good. I would 100% say that this is by far one of my most favourite No Man's Sky updates in recent times. Compared to everything that has come out before, this, in terms of quality, content, the type of content, is good. This is what No Man's Sky needed. The Desolation Update, although it's not a variation update, is most definitely still a fucking solid addition. The part that gets me the most about Desolation is that it isn't even that big of an update. It's not huge, it's not an overhaul, it's not something like Next or Beyond. It's kind of like one of those awkward in-between updates, but it doesn't feel like that. The quality, and as I've said already, the content is so good, it almost feels on par with big updates like Next or Beyond. A problem with No Man's Sky recently, which I think a lot of people would agree with, is the fact that updates have felt a little bit gimmicky and like they don't really go anywhere. It's like Hello Games introduces these features that are kind of half-baked with the expectation that, you know, later on down the line they'll be added to or improved to or whatever. But more often than not, content that has been introduced with recent updates just hasn't gone anywhere. You know, stuff like the Exomech, which yes, will make sense further down the line, but at the moment, what can you really do with it? You know, or Bytebeat, like what the fuck was Bytebeat? There's this really annoying issue with No Man's Sky, and maybe annoying isn't quite the word, but a very predictable nature to No Man's Sky's updates, in the fact that the majority of the time, a lot of the content isn't exactly community requested. You know, it's not the big things which we've been asking for, it's the smaller things which, yeah, are good, but as I said before, don't exactly go anywhere. But Desolation is not this in the slightest. Desolation obviously adds derelict freighters. I think that's probably the most famous feature of this update, and rightfully so. Derelict freighters were introduced with the Living Ships update, but they literally had no purpose. There was, you know, really no point to even seeing them apart from the fact that they look cool for screenshots. There was no gameplay there. Desolation obviously adds an interior, and not only interiors, but enemies, procedurally generated environments, new lore, a shitload of anti-gravity floating objects, which I think are fucking amazing. Like, by far one of my favourite things about derelict freighters is watching the zero gravity items like bouncing around the room. I fucking love it. Love it to bits. Derelict freighters are an amazing addition to No Man's Sky, and as I said at the beginning of the video, I don't think anyone ever really expected No Man's Sky to take this direction, because these derelict freighters are nothing similar to how No Man's Sky is. These derelict freighters are kind of scary, you know, they're very tense, they're combat in focused, and they're interior focus. We don't have interior gameplay in No Man's Sky. Like, yeah, okay, we have buildings, but we walk into a building, we buy something or sell something, maybe get a multi-tool, speak to an alien, and that's it. There's no gameplay, you know, it's like a small stop. Derelict freighters give us this interior gameplay, and we needed this. I never thought that I would sit here and say, okay, No Man's Sky needs some intense, very personal combat, but it benefits from it so fucking much. The derelict freighters, amazing atmosphere. The music in particular, I really like. That creepy, kind of crawling ambient music. It fits so nicely with everything that's going on. The visuals especially, this is something which I'll get onto in a second, but coupled with the new bloom effects and the lens flares, visuals are amazing. They've never looked so good, and the colouring, especially with the darkness and little god rays, it just looks fucking beautiful. And then obviously you have the improved combat side of it. I'm still kind of trying to work out where these new improvements have come from. I don't exactly notice them all that much. Combat is definitely more satisfying though, there is no doubt about that, and coupled with some new aliens which come about on the derelict freighters, it's interesting. And also, as I said, the derelict freighters are procedurally generated. Technically speaking, no two interiors should be the same, and I think that that's crazy. I also think it's really nice that Hello Games have finally relied on some procedural generation for an update, because they haven't really improved procedural generation in many aspects. If anything, over time it's probably got worse, and in my humble opinion, I feel like No Man's Sky has taken more of a shine to handcrafted, very, you know, personal and precise environments or aliens, you know, textures, things like that, rather than relying on their formula to, you know, create random but cohesive procedurally generated objects. And it's nice to see that these procedural generation aspects are coming back, because that is what No Man's Sky is about. It's a procedural game. Hello Games needs to focus on the procedural generation, because without it, No Man's Sky wouldn't exist. You know, simply put, it would not exist in the current state that it is. But yeah, Derelict Freighters changes up gameplay so much. You know, we're not just wandering around on planets anymore, flying around in space. We have like this pressing goal, like a purpose, you know, with rewards that are related to it. There's loot, technically, you can scavenge things, get upgrades, sell all the stuff on. It's like a different game. And the thing is, if I were to sit here and say that this is a bad thing, then I'd be lying. You know, I love the fact that No Man's Sky has this different side to it. And it's like, when I saw on Twitter of the announcement put out, and a lot of the comments were like, who would have thought that No Man's Sky would have ended up in this place 4 years ago? You know, you never would have thought it, because it doesn't look anywhere similar to how it was when it came out. But yeah, I'm kind of just going around in circles, but Derelict Freighters are amazing. Simply put, they are so good, and it provides No Man's Sky with some gameplay that it really did need. Like, this is actual gameplay, different gameplay that we haven't seen before, and it's so refreshing. It also gives me a lot of optimism for the future, because Hello Games have pulled off a really fucking good update with Desolation, and their focus has clearly been in the right place. So I am so excited to see what is going to be coming in the future. This does, of course, tie into this whole argument where, you know, people are wondering if Desolation was the big summer update that we were speculating about. And to give my 2 cents on this, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are on kind of both sides of the argument, I don't think this is the only update. I don't think that there would be this much excitement and leaks and speculation for a single update. And I also think Hello Games know that the Desolation update is great, but it's not exactly this big overhaul that we were expecting, although that's not quite the right word to use, but you get what I'm trying to say. I feel like Desolation, if anything, is the first part to another update. I feel like Desolation probably took the best parts of this summer update, made it into its own update to give us more of a taste, but also a hint of what is coming in the future, because we know that there is probably going to be a overhaul to combat and an antagonist and things like that, especially to do with the weekend mission lore regarding the Abyss. So there is 100% something else coming. I don't believe, and I refuse to believe, that Desolation is this big update which we were expecting. I just don't think it's true in the slightest. But yeah, apart from Derelict Freighters, there are obviously some other additions to Desolation, most of which I can't, you know, go off the top of my head. I know that there's a scrap dealer in the space station now, so when you complete Derelict Freighters, you get like these special items you can sell for nanites, or like a what do you call it, a faction standing increase. But other than that, I can't really think of them off the top of my head. But some of the really lower key additions to Desolation are probably one of my favourites. I mentioned about the aesthetics, so there is now increased bloom. So bloom is essentially something that just makes colours pop. It kind of vibrates a little bit, you know, pushes out towards you. Very soft and makes it look incredibly beautiful with things like the jetpack, which now have these additional lights on the back. And especially in space stations and dark environments, it looks warm, cozy, it just looks fucking amazing. Also, the lens flare is back, or at least kind of back. The original No Man's Sky like 1.0 lens flare, that really over dramatic like yellow looking effect, is back, and it's fucking good. It's so good for screenshots, it's so good for gameplay, it just looks beautiful. And what I like most about the bloom and the lens flare, because I know it doesn't sound all that exciting, but to me at least, it gives me strong original No Man's Sky feels. The lens flare especially has pretty much been lifted from like 1.0 version of No Man's Sky. And this makes me hopeful that Hello Games are going to continue adding these sort of aesthetic changes and bringing back old additions, which we did quite like. And who knows, maybe this is hinting towards some kind of variation or aesthetic overhaul which is coming this summer. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Desolation is a fucking good update. Like, it's a really good update, and the general consensus in the community is that this is the update that people wanted, or a lot of people have been saying it's not exactly what we expected, but it's definitely something that we welcome. You know, I don't think I ever would have said, okay, Derelict Freighters would be amazing in No Man's Sky. I don't think I've ever said that. But now that we have them, I'm really glad we do have them. And this element of surprise is refreshing. It's nice. Hello Games should definitely continue it because it keeps us second guessing. I was convinced that we were going to get some kind of, you know, variation focused update or like a big storyline overhaul, and I think that is still coming, but Desolation is like the nice little interval before shit hits the fan, basically. It's, yeah, it's good. I would highly recommend you give it a try. It is, yeah, it's good. It's really good. Alright guys, I think that just about wraps it up for today's video. I know I'm a little bit rusty, and I'm probably not as good as talking as I was in some of the other videos, because I haven't done this in like 3 weeks, so it is quite difficult. But regardless, expect some content coming your way very soon. I'm going to try and get back on daily uploads, but yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Also, let me know how the gameplay is, because this is actually a game capture, not shadow play, so let me know. And yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please do feel free to leave a like on it. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe. Take care. Love you all.